11 straight. And Winman, I know you are all in on the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, for weeks I was saying, you know what, I don't know if they can win multiple playoff series when nobody on this team has won a playoff series together, a playoff game together. And then, Greeny, I just came to the conclusion, Victor Wembanyama is a generational player. You just don't hedge against generational players. Believe in what this team can do. I still think they probably need some seasoning. I still think Oklahoma City is the favorite to win the West, but I'm taking nothing off the table for the Spurs.
Yeah, I heard you say it, and I loved it. And I want to bring Fortenbaugh, our betting expert, in on that, because as we look at San Antonio going down the stretch, what is the best bet surrounding them?
Wemby to win the Western Conference Finals MVP is 10-1. Now, the Spurs to win the West is plus 550. $10 bet returns 55 in profit. Wemby, however, to win Western Conference Finals MVP would be a $10 bet to return $100 in profit. So ask yourself this. What are the odds? What's the likelihood that the Spurs win the West and Wemby is not the Western Conference Finals MVP? I'd say highly unlikely. This team's got a serious chance at making a run at it. They're top 4 in both defensive rating and net rating. And when you do the blind resume, they're tied for second most wins in the NBA with Detroit. They continue to answer all the questions. Wendy's right. The playoff experience is the concern, but they've had OKC's number. Wemby to win Western Conference Finals MVP 10-1.
I love the way you look at it. I love breaking it down like that, and that's why I always find your perspective on these things so interesting. So, Monica, I want to come to you because, we just came off a football season in which I found myself saying almost every week, well, the Patriots, they're so young. They're ahead of schedule. There's no way in the world. And then the next thing I know, I'm living in a world where they're in the Super Bowl. The Spurs feel similar to that to me in that they feel like they're at least 1 year ahead. But Wendy was sort of the first voice I really trust saying, wait a minute, this team could actually make a run all the way to the finals. Monica, are you buying it?
Am I buying that they could, Greeny? 100%. Right now, am I still out on the fact that they actually will? Yes. I love your analogy in terms of what the Patriots were able to achieve, but I have real concerns about the nature of a series for this group. I mean, we've seen, listen, the only, we'll put non-regular season around it. Experience that we've seen from the Spurs so far was what happened in Vegas when they lost to the Knicks in the NBA Cup. And I'm not saying that truly indicates big game and postseason, but everybody there, as you listen to those press conferences, acknowledged that that felt different and it was designed to simulate that experience. Now, is that experience enough to propel them through 3 series? I'm just not sold.
Okay, I want to go to the next one as we go around the league last night. Kevin Durant, remember him? He scored 40 points last night, surpassing 32,000 for his career. Rockets beat Orlando. With that win, they move past Denver. They're now the 3 seed in the West. So it's OKC, then it's San Antonio, and then it's Houston. Monica, are they just being completely overlooked in all these conversations?
The point guard thing, Greeny, it's a nightmare. Now, granted, last night they had a 16-point comeback. It was a compelling run. KD is hyped with Reed Shepherd. It's a lot of great things happening for Houston. But you continue to watch this team falter in the clutch, which is sort of something that we talked about with the Lakers as well as we started the show, even though the Lakers actually have a decent clutch time record. I'm concerned about point guard play for them in the postseason. But do they have firepower, and can they look great behind KD? Yeah.
Wendy, how about you?
Yeah, so Houston's been really struggling recently. This was a great win because Orlando had actually been on fire. They were 6 of 6 in their last 8. But I agree with Monica. When you get down to the end of close games, they have repeatedly demonstrated that they're going to struggle. That's pretty much the definition of what happens in the playoffs. They have a defense that can win multiple series. They do not have an offense in the Western Conference that, in my view, is set up for a long run.
All right, so they're 3rd in the West. San Antonio, we talked about, they're 2nd in the West. Let's go to OKC because they're at the top. And to me, right this minute, this is the most interesting thing going on in the NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been cleared to return from injury tonight. Winman, what does that mean for his chances of winning MVP?
He is still my MVP. I think he's had a fabulous season. I think Oklahoma City is a just incredibly formidable opponent. I know they've lost some games recently, but Greeny, I have watched their guys 7, 8, 9, 10 on the roster blossom in this opportunity. I think Oklahoma City is still in great position, and I still have Shai as my number 1 there.
Okay, so what you're looking at now are the odds to win NBA MVP. And what I want you to pay attention to is the very top of that. We talked yesterday about how Cade Cunningham was moving rapidly up the list because Nikola Jokic is basically at the threshold. He can only afford to miss one more game in order to play 66 for the season. You see, he's projected to play only 59. He would become eliminated from contention. With the news that SGA is coming back, now he projects to make it above the 65-game threshold. So Joe Fortenbaugh, for smart money, for people who bet on these things, how are they approaching the MVP race when you take into account the 65-game rule?
Like this? I hate this rule. I hate this rule for casual bettors, all right? There are professional bettors that'll tell you, hey, this rule's great because it introduces an extra layer of volatility and chaos. And the more volatility and chaos you have in betting, the better it is for those who are trying to get ahead of the sports book. But for casual bettors, this is ruining it. I mean, go through the odds again. Who's going to lay minus 250 on SGA right now when he could potentially miss 7 more games and then be wiped out of the equation? Jokic is having a phenomenal season. But what? He misses 2 or 3 more games? He's out of the equation. Wemby at 25-1 is appealing, but he's 1 or 2 games away from being out of the equation. You talk about Cade Cunningham. Is he coming up because suddenly he's demonstrating more value, or is it because the other guys might not be able to qualify for the award? The intent behind the award was noble. Get guys to play more games. But it's ruining the betting process for this. And I know I'm just one man screaming from a betting perspective, but damn it, Greeny, that's my job, is to represent the casual bettors.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. And maybe from a betting perspective, it makes it complicated. And those of us who care greatly about the history of sports, and I've written books about the history of sports and all of that, when you calculate the greatness of a player's career when it's all said and done, you factor in how many times they won MVP. And the idea of that was not, well, how many times did they play 65 games? So I can see a lot of argument against it, yet I was one of many who was applauding Adam Silver when they put the 65-game threshold in, because anything that encourages players to play, I'm all in favor of. So let me hear from my analysts. Brian Windhorst, I will start with you. What are you hearing from people around the league about the 65-game rule now that it appears as though it could very well wind up determining an MVP?
I think the league office likes it, and I think they're not going to take it away because I think they do believe it. This is what they're going to redo with the anti-tanking rules. They want to incentivize winning. They want to incentivize playing. Where I think you could potentially see some changes is finding ways to give players credit for like bonus games. Let me give you an example. Right now, Wembanyama gets 3 games because his team made the NBA Cup final. If you make the NBA Cup final, you get an extra game. What if you took part in the slam dunk contest or the three-point shootout, or even if you make the All-Star game, you get a bonus game, or they may find another place to do that. I think the NBA likes it, and I think there's definitely players over the last couple of years that have played games where they wouldn't have, and especially national television games, because they care about this rule, because the players have shown they do care about it. So you can complain about it, you can make a good point. I don't think it's going anywhere.
How about you, Monica? What do you think?
Well, I think, Greeny, when this conversation comes up, we got to go back to the impetus, right? Like, the issue was load management. If we didn't have that problem, which back in the day, you know, when everybody was rough and tumble, the old school NBA, less of an issue. But here we are. And so this was designed to mitigate it. And I think it's totally fine. Now, I will say this to Joe's point. I think it is a combination in terms of Cade Cunningham, both the rule and the guys ahead of him, but I also think this young man on his own is having an MVP caliber year. And be it that as it may, Detroit has not been as glamorous in terms of the history of both OKC and Denver being known entities as real contenders.
I'm with you. I want to make it clear. None of what I'm saying is meant to diminish Cade Cunningham's candidacy for MVP. If he wins it, he's worthy of winning it. And then, in fact, I kind of hate the idea that some would look at it as he only won it because this guy didn't play enough games. It's a good topic. It's one I want to continue. In the meantime, there's one other thing, Windman. I want to let you have equal time here. So the other night, Windy was on SVP. And for those of us who know Brian and have followed him for years, we know that the big topic with him is always, well, where has he booked his hotel reservations for? And he came on the air and he said, I've booked hotel rooms in San Antonio for the finals. And I went, oh, my goodness, Windy is buying in. So that came up yesterday, and then Jay Williams had to ruin it by jumping in and saying this.
What Brian didn't tell you is he also has hotel reservations in Denver and OKC as well. Okay? Yeah. He hedged his bet.
You're saying he's multi-booking?
Yes, 1,000. He's not lying. Hedged his bet.
You want to see a copy of the reservation?
Yes, I do.
He's picking the Spurs. They were one of 3 teams that made the 40-20 rule.
Yep.
So, Brian, I will give you equal time. He's suggesting that you are actually, what's the word here, multi-booking? I'm not sure what the term is. What can you say?
Yes, of course. I've always done this. I basically, when you reach the point where I think you can make the finals, I book the hotel. I booked Oklahoma City in November. I also have restaurant reservations. If you're going to want a table at the best steakhouse on the best nights in the finals in Oklahoma City, I got the reservations. I do not have any restaurant reservations in San Antonio yet. I also do not have reservations in Denver. I have them in 3 places. Oklahoma City, which I've had since November. San Antonio, which for the truth, Greeny, I booked it like 2 weeks ago. I just didn't feel like I wanted to say it publicly until on SVP the other night. I've had it for a while. And I booked Boston, and that's an asterisk because the World Cup is in Boston, and I know that's in Foxborough, I know, but the South Americans and the Europeans are going to book in Boston. And so part of it is a hedge on Jason Tatum, but part of it is because I want the hotel that I want, and all the South Americans are going to come in there when their team gets in there. So that's my list. It could expand more, but I'll tell you one thing right now. I have currently no plans to make any others. There's no team on the edge. I've researched Detroit. I've researched where to go in Detroit, but I am not yet at all close to actually booking anything. So,
McNutt, basically what he's saying is if the Knicks make the finals, he's either staying in my house or your house. All right.
Basically, yeah.
He said, Windman, I got a bedroom for you. We got no problem. We'll be all set up. When the Knicks make the finals and shock the world, Windy will be staying over at Shea Greeny. All right, we'll take a short time out.